The rain did not merely fall, it assaulted the earth, turning the manicured lawns of the Thorne estate into a quagmire of mud and memories. The funeral of Julian Thorne was less a grieving ceremony and more a corporate merger of sorrow and speculation, attended by sharks in expensive suits and vultures disguised as mourners. Blackwood Manor loomed in the background, a gothic monstrosity of stone and ivy that had seen generations of secrets buried within its walls. At the center of this storm stood the three Thorne children, united by blood, but divided by everything else. Marcus, the eldest, adjusted his tie with the precision of a man who lived his life in the public eye, his face a mask of practiced stoicism. Elena, the middle child, hid behind oversized sunglasses, her artistic temperament clashing violently with the rigid formality of the event. And then there was Lucas, the youngest, the prodigal son,
who
looked as though he had just rolled out of a dive bar. His disdain for the family legacy evident in his stuffed boots and unkempt hair. They stood at the graveside, listening to the drone of the priest, but their minds were already on the reading of the will of their father. The air was thick with unspoken accusations, and the heavy scent of wet earth and ruins. As the coffin was lowered, the thunder rolled, a fitting punctuation to the life of a man who had been a tempest in human form. Inside the manor, the atmosphere was stifling. The library, a cavernous room smelling of old paper and brandy, was where Julian held court, and it was here that his final act would play out. Mr. Sterling, the family lawyer, sat behind the massive mahogany desk, looking like a nervous undertaker. He cleared his throat, the sound echoing in the silence. The will was not a simple distribution of assets. It was a challenge. Julian's voice, recorded weeks before his death, filled the room from a vintage
My name is Julian Thorne, and this is my confession.
He spoke of a legacy not measured in dollars.
Bà biết là mọi chuyện khó khăn,
He revealed the
nhưng
existence
hai
of
con phải
Thorne
mạnh mẽ
Ultimatum,
lên.
a
Bà
cryptic
luôn ở bên
puzzle
các
rooted in
con.
a Cold War secret that built the foundation of his empire. To inherit, they had to solve it. If they failed, the billions would dissolve into a blind trust, leaving them with nothing but their last name. The recording ended with a click, leaving the siblings in stunned silence. The first clue was hidden in plain sight, a phrase Julian had used to torment them as children. Look where the time stands still. Marcus was the first to move, his ambition overriding his grief. He strode toward the grandfather clock in the hallway, the pendulum swinging with hypnotic regularity. Elena followed, her artist's eye catching the discrepancy in the clock's face. The hands were frozen at a specific hour, not matching the chimes. Lucas, cynical but intrigued, watched as they pried open the clock's casing. Inside, taped to the mechanism, was a brass key and a set of coordinates. The game had begun. The coordinates pointed to the old Thorne Industries headquarters in downtown New York, a building that had been shuttered for years.
This is your fault.
To the city
I told you this would happen. My fault. You were the one who insisted on this stupid plan.
The siblings argued over their father's sanity and their own motivations. Marcus needed the money to fund his Senate campaign. Elena needed it to pay off debts she hadn't disclosed. Lucas just wanted to burn it all down. Arriving in the city, the rain had turned to a suffocating mist. The old headquarters was a skeletal structure of steel and glass, a ghost of industrial war. Using the brass key, they accessed the executive elevator, ascending to the penthouse office that had been preserved like a museum. Dust motes danced in the beams of their flashlights. The office was a chaotic mess of blueprints and prototypes. It was here that they realized they were not alone. Shadows moved in the periphery. Someone else was hunting for the ultimatum. A tense search of the office revealed a hidden safe behind a portrait of their grandfather. The combination required memories only they shared, dates of birthdays, and death. When the safe clicked open, it didn't contain money, but a dossier labeled Project Chimera. It was a blueprint for a surveillance technology developed in the 80s, something dangerous and elite. Suddenly, the glass of the window shattered. A sniper's bullet embedded itself in the wall, inches from Marcus's head. Panic ensued. They scrambled across the floor, glass crunching under their hands and knees. They were being targeted by a rival corporation, a shadow entity that Julian had double-crossed decades ago. Escaping the building required them to trust each other for the first time in years. They navigated the service stairwells, Lucas taking the lead with a surprising tactical awareness. burst out into the alleyway, breathless and terrified. The dossier contained a flight manifest for a private jet leaving from Paris that very night. It was their reward. The flight across the Atlantic was a sleepless blur of whiskey and fear. In Paris, the trail led them to the catacombs, a city of the dead beneath the city of lights. Julian had hidden the next piece of the puzzle in an ossuary marked with the family crest. The atmosphere down there was claustrophobic, the walls of skulls watching their every move. They found a microfilm canister inside a hollowed-out bone, but as they emerged, they were cornered by mercenaries. A chase ensued through the narrow streets of Montmartre, a chaotic blur of revving engines and shouting voices. They barely escaped, finding refuge in a safe house Julian had maintained, a small apartment overlooking the Seine. There, they projected the microfilm. It showed their father not as a villain, but as a man who had spent his life trying to contain the technology he created, keeping it out of the hands of lawmakers. The realization shifted the dynamic. This wasn't just about money, it was about redemption. The final clue pointed back to where it all started, Blackwood Manor, the crypt in the family cemetery. They returned to the U.S., exhausted and battered, but united. The storm had returned, mirroring the day of the funeral. They made their way to the crypt, the wind howling around them. Inside, they found the final vault, but waiting for them was sterling.
You thought you would hide from me in here? Where is the money?
The one who had sold the secrets to the rival corporation.
Please.
He held them at gunpoint, demanding
I swear
the
I didn't
dossier.
see anything. I told you
In a moment of
everything.
synchronized
You're
action,
lying.
the siblings
Tell me
fought
who
back.
was there, or you won't walk
Marcus
out of here
distracted him
alive.
with negotiation.
Stay out! You're not
Elena
going
used the
anywhere.
environment to blind him, and Lucas tackled him. The gun went off,
Get your
shattering
hands
Stone
off me.
Angel, but Sterling was subdued. They opened the final vault. It was empty, save for a single letter. The legacy is not the gold, Julian. It is the bond you forge in the fire. They looked at each other, muddy, bleeding, but alive. They understood now. They turned Sterling over to the authorities and stood on the porch of the manor as the sun began to rise, breaking the storm. They decided to dismantle the surveillance tech, destroying the potential billions to protect the world. As they walked away from the house, leaving the estate behind, they were no longer just neighbors. They were a family.